Again, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us today. Really excited to have the Inuvika team with us. My name is Taylor Greiner. I'm the Director of Innovation here at US Signal. So I lead new product development and R&D for all things that we are bringing to market. I'm joined by a wonderful cast. Jerry, I'll have you go first, introducing yourself on the US Signal side, and then we'll let Kevin and Alex go.
Sure. Thanks, Taylor. Yeah, Jerry Clark here. I work with partners all over the country, helping them with our private cloud and now our DaaS solution.
Awesome. Kevin?
I'm Kevin Gallagher. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Inuvika. We've been at this now for 2014, 12 years and counting, and happy to be here today.
Awesome. Alex?
Hi, I'm Alex Perkins. I'm Technical Director for Inuvika. I look after the pre-sales and support teams worldwide.
Perfect. Okay. We've got a lot to cover today. We're very excited to get through it. I've got a few slides. I try not to over PowerPoint people to death, but I think there is some level setting that we want to lay out there. But then Alex is going to share a number of demos. I think one of the number one questions I get is for people that aren't familiar with Inuvika is what's the experience, right? And so that's really where we want to expose everyone to that. They get to see how easy it is, how great of a tool it is, and then lead into some conversation around positioning it as a practice. So let me get my screens all organized here, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, all right. Oh, we're jumping around. Okay. So first off, the desktop as a service opportunity for MSPs, we really see there being kind of four key areas that are driving this, right? And the first and foremost, I think, is legacy VDI disruption. This is something, especially with Broadcom and what's happened with VMware and Omnissa and Citrix, that is really driving people to look at alternatives. And Kevin and team, they are experiencing this every day as well. So would love to hear his thoughts. But rounding out the other three real quick, and then we'll get to that. Customers are demanding flexibility. In an as a service world now, we want to be able to spin up quickly, spin down quickly if we need to, and really respond to demand. Recurring revenue pressure. So making sure that our revenues are sticky and predictable is a goal for any business. And then security is really driving a lot of this and being able to manage that. And so, Kevin, I want to kind of come back to the legacy VDI disruption. This is something I think both sides are talking about every day. What's kind of the key things that you're hearing?
Well, you mentioned Citrix and VMware, and we can't even touch on this topic without going there. I don't need to explain to the people on this call what's happened, but you're seeing massive price increases for hypervisors at VMware, especially for smaller players, 5 to 10 times. They split the company out. Citrix was taken over by investment bankers, and whenever investment bankers get involved in technology, they are looking to raise their margins and find a way to flip the company back out again at a later date. So the customers suffer, the partners suffer. And fortunately for Inuvika, the result of all this has been a pipeline that's 30 times what it was last year for us. So we've just completely exploded on that end. So
I'm not a bad spot to be.
Not unhappy about what these guys are doing. And we're seeing different things in different regions. Europe is reacting different than the US, and Africa is reacting differently as well. They've got other pressures there with currency and whatnot. But overall, I think what we're seeing, especially people coming out of VMware who are the latest wave, because Citrix is now 3 years into this, they are not happy about being caught in the vendor lock-in in the first place. So they were stuck with both the Omnissa Horizon that only worked on the vSphere hypervisor. So when one thing went up, they were stuck with the other. They couldn't go anywhere else. So I think they're looking to not get trapped again. The easy trap to fall into is to go all in on Microsoft. I just saw my recent bill for our company for Office 365. It's a 10% increase on there. Inflation's not 10%, so they got us, and the more integrated you are with them, if you're on ABD and you're on Azure and you're on that, they're just going to kind of tick away at you, and you're getting yourself stuck in the same trap. So I think a lot of MSPs are looking for a way out. We offer that kind of flexibility because we work on any hypervisor. So you can switch hypervisors if you're stuck. We have a lower cost model that we'll get into as we go into this. But I think the main thing they're looking for is just not to get trapped again, I think, in summary. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, Jerry, anything to add? I know, from a US Signal side, you're talking to MSPs every day.
Yeah, no, I agree with Kevin 100%. When people get, wound up into the Microsoft arena, Azure, AVD, their price starts to escalate. So a lot of MSPs are looking for an alternative, not only to Microsoft, AWS, but also the legacy VMware environment that is constantly on the rise and unpredictable. And now that Horizon View is gone and Citrix pricing's through the roof, this opportunity and our partnership with Inuvika, launching our DaaS solution is really, in my humble opinion, the best solution out there.
Perfect, and that's a great segue. So we have had it live, but do want to call it out. Oh man, I keep skipping screens. But our Open Cloud Desktop as a Service platform. This is built on US Signal's Open Cloud. It is powered by the Inuvika OVD Enterprise software. And things Kevin said, right? Any VDI, model that you want to provide to your customers, there's white label opportunities, there's consistent user pricing, and isolated tenant, right? We've got the multi-tenant capabilities, all backed by US Signal's 24/7 US-based support. And Jerry, again, coming back to you have been hitting the streets, driving this with everybody that we work with. I think there's a real demand to move away from these alternatives. And again, AVD is the big one that we see. But care to elaborate or kind of share a little bit more about our Open Cloud Desktop as a Service platform?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're nailing it, Taylor. There's a bunch of repatriation going on out there where people have tried some of the public cloud offerings and tried to use Horizon View maybe internally, and they found out that it's very difficult to manage, difficult to price, unpredictable. Open Cloud, as we all know, is an alternative to not only the public clouds but also the VMware environments that run locally. It's been tested and proven by third-party independent companies to be 3 times the performance of the public clouds and typically 30% less. And when you layer on the Inuvika DaaS on top of the Open Cloud environment, you're really creating an opportunity for MSPs to make huge margins, deliver a faster service, and get better support.
Absolutely, and we kind of hit on it. I think it's really the elephant in the room is Azure AVD, right? And Kevin, you talk about, we've had a lot of conversations about how you compare. I think that is kind of the platform a lot of MSPs that are leading with this are looking to or migrating to. The hard thing about AVD, and Jerry, I've supported a number of your deals, right? Where somebody will come to the table and they'll go, hey, we've priced AVD and it's cheaper, right? Like, hey, it's more cost competitive. And you dive into how they're speccing this thing. And you go, well, you didn't consider this, and you didn't consider this, and you didn't consider this. And suddenly it's flipped, right? It has now kind of gone the other way. I think we had one exercise where I took the same exact specs and I was able to spec it both 30% under our price with a build that you should not go to production with, but the calculator let you do it. And one that was like 2 or 3x times the where we were at. And so my biggest caveat is anytime you're looking at AVD is always, hey, if you're going to go that route, you need to be incredibly careful about how you're sizing it. Kevin, again, we've
a great example. We had a business school, international business school based in France, but they've got campuses in the US and Singapore and a few places. They told us that they wanted to go on Azure because their board of directors had decided Microsoft. This was a couple of years ago. And they were just setting up their first classroom for 500 users and whatnot with the plan to add additional ones later. We begged them to go with one of our MSP partners in France. They said, no, we got to go with Azure. They did it. They came back a short time later. Costs were 40% higher than they expected. They couldn't do the second classroom. They were stuck. It took them 2 years to wind themselves back off of Azure to get back to where they could start to do things properly again. So, but that kind of 40% number seems to be the number that comes up a lot from what we hear when they go to Azure. It's always a whole lot more expensive than you expected. So, I mean, we've done things in our product to make sure that US Signal can deliver at the lowest cost possible as well. And we'll get into some of those, I guess, on other questions, right?
Perfect. Yep. And we're really excited about the partnership that we have together to bring this to market. So we won't hang out on this slide too much longer. I know the demos are what everyone's excited to see. Again, we can hit on this later, or Jerry's always happy to have a conversation to decide what's right for you. But really, two options. One is self-managed, so you run the platform, we run everything under it on open cloud. You have full administrative rights of the tenant, the policy, the images, and if you want, we can do that fully managed through US Signal. So. I think for the sake of time, if everyone else on this call is all right, we'll go ahead and kind of move over this. But if you're an audience member, if you have questions, you should all reach out to Jerry or your account rep, and we're happy to dive deeper into these offerings. Under the hood, what is this? And again, we'll kind of not gloss over this, but we won't spend too much time. It is the Inuvika platform on US Signal's open cloud. And so with this, you get, the session management, you get the ability to host your desktops, your apps, and all the components that go into providing this experience are deployed in the environment. And so, when we say that you manage it, you have the ability to stand this stuff up yourself. We have a jumpstart program where we can stand it up for you and then hand it off. But we've got a number of ways to make sure that you are set up in a way that you can quickly be up and running with your customers, and bring this to market through your MSP practice. Anyone on the call, anything to add to this quick? Otherwise, I know, again, the demos are really why we're here, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I may add just something real quick, I think the real attractiveness excuse me, of the DaaS solution is the ability for MSPs from their office to quickly deploy their desktops, their applications, their security, all under one umbrella. So they don't have to go into the hypervisor and build out their gateway servers and their session hosts. It's just a few clicks of a button, and they're adding a customer, they're adding their desktops, they're adding their applications. So the second thing that I've really admired about the Inuvika solution is the user experience, especially when it comes to video. So it has video pass-through technology, running YouTube and Teams videos is seamless. So I know everybody wants to see the demo, so I won't keep talking.
No, perfect. So just real quick, last slide, I promise, before we get into the demo. And Kevin or Alex, we'll really kind of lean on you guys here to add anything that you're interested in adding. But security that your clients can audit, right? If we're going to leverage a desktop as a service solution, we want to know that it is secure. We want to know that we can trust the data that we're providing through this. And so the Open Cloud DaaS solution has been built, from the ground up with security and compliance in mind. There's another number of features and functionality that ensure you have a product that you can trust bringing to market. Okay. Now I think the moment we are waiting for, Alex, I'm going to pass the screen over to you. We've got a few things that we're going to demo today, and Alex is going to, for the sake of making sure, he's in the UK, so for the sake of making sure that these come across correctly, Alex has pre-recorded a number of demos, so we're going to share those. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We will, we're more than happy to answer as many as we can as we go. We do have time at the end as well. But Alex, are you able to share your screen? Do you have the share button now?
I do. I may just have to rejoin because it's not giving me permission. Just give me a second.
Okay.
We're only getting Alex to do it for the cool accent, by the way.
Fair. Yeah. The go-to platform that we are using for our webinars can sometimes be a little tricky if it's the first time you're running it. So we'll give him a second to hop back on. But while we're waiting for Alex, any questions for Kevin, for Jerry, myself? While we're waiting, feel free to post those in. And while we're waiting as well, Kevin, for those that don't know who Inuvika is, right? Who that may be, do you want to? And we've got Alex back, so we can maybe do this at the end. But again, I know you shared just a little bit when you introduced yourself. Any kind of like broad, high level, things that you want to share with the audience, real quick?
I can tell you that when we started this company, a lot of us knew about Citrix in the back end. We looked at the survey of users and surveys of admins and said, what are they doing wrong and what can we do better? To a T, none of them wanted to deal with 7 or 8 admin consoles. So the single easy to use admin console was the basis for all of this. How to make it simple and easier so that you don't have to go and spend $10,000 a year getting your certifications either there or on VMware. So we've done a lot of things to make it as easy as possible and straightforward. A lot of you'll see on multi-tenancy, you click a button and you've got a multi-tenant situation set up. So there's been a lot of thought went into making sure that this is as easy as possible. And every time we bring out another release, we're looking for ways to pare it down again. Can we simplify it again and make it better? So we're doing that continuous improvement process, and I think we've come up with a really great product at this point.
Perfect. All right, Alex, moment of truth.
Did it work?
That one. Share.
We got it.
Perfect. All right, Alex, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Hopefully we'll be able to hear it. I'd just like to take you through a quick demo of how OVD works, but first of all, I'd just like to give you an overview of how the architecture pieces together. So left and right of this diagram are the entry points. So local is reserved for offline locations, dark sites, places that don't have internet access, for example, where they don't need the secure gateway. The left-hand side is remote access, where everything gets routed through our secure gateway. So that removes the need for a VPN. It removes the need for any other kind of integration to access the environment apart from a simple HTTPS capable connection. So from a client perspective, you can use our web client, which works in any modern browser. You have our desktop client for Windows, Mac, and Linux. We also have our own thin client operating system called Resolute OS, which can be used on any Intel, AMD, or ARM capable device. And that can be new or old, so it can be used to repurpose existing hardware as well. We also support other thin client vendors such as Tenzig, IHL, N-Computing, Wise, and HP. You'll also have the Chromebook client and also the Android and iOS client as well. So you choose your device in your choice of location. You will come through the enterprise secure gateway, which tunnels everything into a single secure connection, again, without the need for VPN. That will go over and talk to the session manager, which is responsible for the configuration, brokering, management, policies, and so on. That will then talk to your directory service, which could be Active Directory or LDAP. We also support any external directory through our SAML2 connector. There's built-in two-factor authentication as well, either using our own MFA, or you can use the SAML connector connected to things like Entra. You can also use Duo and things like that. It will then go across and bring online your user profile, which can be from the OB file server, or it could be from FS Logics, which is quite a popular choice. And then it will go over to where your apps and desktops reside. So this can be one-to-one VDI using Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows Server. It could be session-based apps and desktops using Windows Server. It can also be Linux apps and desktops as well, either on a one-to-one VDI basis or a session-based basis as well. But you can do a blend of both. There's no specific way that this needs to be delivered. There's no right or wrong way to do it either. You can do static provisioning, whereby the machines are provisioned manually, or you can use our provisioning functionality, which gives you a gold master image or gold master images, which you can then clone multiple times and then deliver out to your user base on an automated front. So that just gives you an idea of how that part actually looks and feels. So let's dive into a demo. So this is the enterprise desktop client. This is available, as I said, on Windows, Mac, and Linux. If you're using Resolute OS or any other thin client vendor, it also uses the same client as well. So it's a very simple way in which to get this to work. The desktop client gives you the most feature-rich experience, so it allows you to do all of the mass redirection with all the USB products, including webcam, scanners, biometric readers, all that kind of stuff. You get sound and video optimization, so you can use things like Teams. You can use server-side graphics cards, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. The client itself gives you two different ways in which you can use the application. You can use desktop mode, which gives you a windowed or full-screen desktop experience, or you can use application mode, which gives you seamless application. So two different ways in which you can do it. We will start here with desktop mode. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit connect here. You can see that my login here has got the two-factor enabled. In this case, we're going to use the Inuvika Authenticator. If we just go in via my phone here, I can just go and get my my latest token. The app itself is biometrically secured, so you cannot get in and generate codes unless you have the ability to unlock the phone. You can also use Google Authenticator as well, so there is no need to use our application if you have your sort of preferred choice of application. So we're logged in now. This is a desktop-based session. If we look at the little drop down at the top of my screen here, you can see we are multi-monitor aware, so I have 6 monitors available to me. I could go and display this in full screen on one or a number of my monitors in real time. So I could use screen 6, 3, and 1, for example, and keep screens 4, 5, and 2 for my local experience. Now, I have got USB redirection enabled in my session. I've also got UC the webcam and a sound pass-through as well. If I just go into my Teams here, for example, and you can see in real time that the audio is already being passed through, so the headphones and microphone are available into the session. I'll just go here, just show you on my camera. So hello, yeah, I'm talking to you here, so hopefully that's nice and smooth and you can appreciate it. But this is automatically passing my webcam through into the session without the need for me to ultimately do anything. If you have multiple webcam devices, you can come down here and you can choose a different camera. So you see I can choose my Logitech camera, or I could go ahead and choose my iPhone camera to be redirected, for example. You also have the ability to do USB redirection as well. So you can see here a number of devices that are available to be passed through from my local machine here. So let me just show you here with the USB redirection. So I've got my devices that I can pass through. If I go ahead and open Stream Deck, so I've got an Elgato Stream Deck, which is one of those little boxes with all the buttons on it. If I go ahead into the settings, go into devices, you see there's no device found. If we go into here and then we tell it to redirect the Stream Deck XL, you can see it's then connected. I can see in front of me now that all the buttons are now populating. So it's redirected that actual USB device into my session, and then I can use that as though it's plugged in ultimately into my VDI desktop. So this is a fantastic way in which you can redirect USB devices. Now, off the back of that as well, you can also set policies on how you redirect those devices. So if I just bring this window down just to show you, you can see here, this is my session. I could go ahead and click modify on this policy. We can edit this policy. So we can say that for me, for example, maybe I want to deny a user from always redirecting a Stream Deck device. You can hit deny here. You can click allow, you can do auto connect, you can make it so it prevents disconnection. So there's lots of different options. So you can choose the classes of devices, you can choose specific identifiers for devices as well. So you can set policies on what devices users can and cannot redirect, basically. So it's a really good way to have, again, more granular control around what is and isn't getting redirected into a session. So coming out of that then, if we go and have a look at some general applications now. So this looks and feels like a normal desktop. We have a mixture of applications that are installed in here, everything from Microsoft Word through to things like SolidWorks, AutoCAD. You can use Google Chrome, Microsoft Teams, as I showed you earlier. So there is no specific right or wrong set of applications to deliver. Anything can ultimately be delivered with OVD. If I just go over to Google Chrome here, just to show you this, this is just a video playback. So this is just a video. Hopefully you can get the audio as well. We can go full screen. We're delivering this now in full HD. You can do 4K as well, or 4K capable systems. And it's very, very easy to be able to deliver high resolution, high quality audio and video without massive bandwidth draw. If you see here now, like a graph in real time, you can see that the bandwidth consumption is actually surprisingly low, given that we're actually streaming a full HD screen here. And we could obviously go immersive. We could go true full screen if we wanted to, or we can just use the windows as we're doing here. So it's very, very performant, even on lower bandwidth connections. And the nice thing is, because of the amount of compression and acceleration that we do, it's incredibly responsive. So embracing that modern protocol versus this older VDI experience where things just don't necessarily work properly. If I show you now, if we just flip back into my iPhone here, just to show you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over that session that we have here running. So if we just come here, and I'll just flip into the mobile client. Now we've got it up here on my phone. So I'll go ahead and put my password in. It's going to go and connect. It's going to want the two-factor code, obviously. So we'll just go into the client and just pull the two-factor. We'll just paste that into here. And what you're going to see now is it's going to transfer the session from my desktop here onto my mobile. So this is my iPhone that you see. So you can see this is still running in the background. We can simply just click play and let it carry on ultimately. So you can even do video playback on mobile devices as well, which is obviously a true degree of flexibility. So this is now a full desktop. If you're doing this on an iPad or another touchscreen device, you can also use trackpads and external keyboards. But applications ultimately look and function just as though they are, again, natively accessible now just on a smaller screen. So it does give you the ability to have that true flexibility regardless of where you're using the applications. So if I just bring in a different window now, just to show you, I'll bring in our web client just to show you the transition. We can flip this over to the web client also and just reconnect. And we'll just get the two-factor code. And this is now going to restore the session into the web. So it's very, very easy to be able to flip between all your different devices with everything still running. As you see here, I've still got my Chrome window up, I've still got my Word document open. So that gives you an idea of how easy it is to be able to move around devices. And the contents of your profile walk with you. So there's no loss of data, all of your favorites, all of your desktop placement, all that kind of stuff gets remembered. So regardless of the device and what time of day and wherever you're connected from, you get exactly the same experience regardless. The desktop client is ultimately the most feature rich because it gives you all the redirection capabilities. The web client is designed for more simplified applications, although you do still have the ability to upload and download files, print inside the browser and do audio and video redirection. You just don't get that USB redirection piece. That's the biggest differentiator. So that ultimately is how that works. I'll just show you here in this other tab. This is the security configuration for how the two-factor works. So in here, you have the ability to configure our authenticator app. You can do email one-time pins, you can do security keys such as YubiKey or any other FIDO compatible key as well, and it also supports backup codes as well. So you have an extra way in. Now, if we flip over to our admin console, I'll just give you a light tour of how this works. The admin console is web-based, it's single pane of glass. The demo system that we use here is multi-tenant enabled, so the product itself is multi-tenant capable. If I go into the system tab here, you see all the different tenants that we've got. So you can have as many tenants as you like. Tenants can be shared or isolated from one another in their components. So the application servers, the file servers, the provisioning templates that they use. they can all be shared or dedicated in between each of the tenants, including directory services as well. What this means is it gives you a great flexibility in how you choose to deliver this out to your organization. So I'll show you here, for example, this goes into exactly the same back-end system, but it's got different branding, different color scheme. And if we go ahead and I just change the URL in here, you'll see that the icons have also changed in here, the color scheme and so on. So it makes it very, very easy to be able to make this custom to your customers and give it the look and feel of either your company or the customer's company. You can have a different entry point for each client. You can have one entry point and then allow them to log in into their own tenant just by defining their tenant operator when they log in. Lots of different ways to do it. The admin console itself is very straightforward. So everything that you need to do after installation is managed from here. So across the top, your different tabs give you access to all the different management layers. I'll just switch into our internal tenant here. This page, for example, the system page, first of all, of course, your tenant administration. You've also got your settings in here around logging. Your branding is all visual. It's very easily done from this page. License keys are all managed from here. So OVD as a product is licensed based on concurrent users. So it's just the number of people connecting at any one point in time. From a tenancy perspective, you can put a hard limit on the number of concurrent sessions that a tenant can do. So you could have 10 tenants each with 10 concurrent sessions if you wanted to. Our licensing is ultimately flexibly reported as well. So you can do 12, 36 or 60 months, or you can do a flex arrangement where you move up and down and ultimately just consume the number of licenses required, and then that is ultimately what you can charge for as the fee. The administrators tab gives you all of your super admins for the admin console, and they can be single tenant, multi-tenant, or global administrators. You've also got settings in here around database controls, notifications. Service notices is ultimately the bar that we see here. This is a service notice, so you can use it for communicating privacy terms. It could be a help desk guide, anything like that. You can set restrictions on the versions of the client that can log in. So very useful in BYOD environments where you need to enforce specific versions of the OVD client needed on a system upgrade, for example. And there's full plugins for any monitoring platform that you use as well. The users tab gives you all your user management. If you link this to a directory service, this pulls in your users and your groups automatically. So everything is already published to your existing users and groups. There's no need to mess around and have to sort of do all the work twice. We were talking about two-factor authentication earlier. So the two-factor is simply configured in here. You can also configure the SAML connector too. So there's lots of settings around how the system behaves, like password policies, how the two-factor will work with regards to what's enforced, what's enabled, are you going to use Duo, and so on. So that's all very, very easily configured in here too. The servers tab gives you all of the backend servers that make up your environment, including all of your application servers as well. If you're using our provisioning functionality, that's also controlled from here. So there's a section here, but just quickly flip over to this page just to show you. It's on our other system. So if we're looking here in the servers, in the provisioning section, you will now see provisioning templates. So this allows you to have a gold master image that's configured from the cloud platform. The cloud platform then feeds via Terraform all of your gold image management. So you can then go ahead and deploy images on demand. You can have minimum and maximum numbers of instances. You can control the CPU, the memory, the disks, and everything that they have available to them. And they can be automatically assigned to a pool, or you can have users that get placed onto specific VMs and it becomes theirs for the life cycle of the session. So we have a number of Windows 10 instances here, for example. You have multiple gold images. You can share templates between different tenants as well. So it's an incredibly flexible way to deliver apps and desktops, either one-to-one VDI or session-based across your user base. There's other settings in here as well, also controlling things like sysprep. So we can do automatic sysprep. We can run scripts that start up and shut down. We can do logging scripts. We can group users to specific groups of servers for test or production or different countries and so on. And all of this, remember, is also controllable by tenant as well. The applications list is all the apps that you can publish to your users. So you can see here we have a long list of applications. Static applications allows you to customize existing apps or have truly custom applications and deliver them to your user base. So it makes it very, very easy to deliver additional applications. Now, whilst we're in here, if I just show you how this works. So if I just come out of here, for example, we'll just log out of this session. So if I come back to here and let's take a copy of this this book of demo, we can clone this to be a new application. So I will go ahead and I'll clone this and I'll call it, I'll just call it my test. We'll just call it Inuvika actually. And what we can do is we can go ahead and modify this custom app. So you see, if I just change that so it's just inuvika.com, we could go ahead and then hit modify in here and it will save the applications. And then all we have to do then is publish it to a group. So if we go ahead and publish it to our other apps group, then next time I log in, we'll get that. So if I just go and check with my username here, just to make sure that it is showing, you can see that there's the Inuvika link. I'll go ahead and just log in here. I'm just going to two-factor code. And what you see now when this session logs in is that the Inuvika app now appears. So it's very, very easy to add an additional application. The same would go if you were going to install an app into your gold image and publish it to your users. You would just do that and then publish it in exactly the same way. Unless you're giving them an unlocked desktop, then the application will automatically appear for them without you needing to do anything else, basically. So it's a very, very easy way to be able to give users extra apps very, very easily without having to do anything else. You see here, here's the Inuvika link. If I double click that, it's going to load Google Chrome and take us straight off to the Inuvika website. So again, very, very easy to deliver additional applications at just the click of a button with a simple login and log out. The storage tab is all your user profile management if you're using our OBD file server. You can also link in external storage and shared folders delivered via the platform as well. Most people often use FSLogix, which we have full integration for. The Sessions tab, you saw that with the user summary, so you can quickly check how the user's configured. Your session settings is all the settings that control the settings around security and functionality within the session. So things like permitting USB redirection, allowing copy and paste, printing, multi-monitor support, the ability to redirect drives and disks and so on, working hours. All of that can be controlled in here. It's controllable by group, by user, globally, and also by tenant. And finally, the status and reports tab allows you to see running sessions. You can go into a running session and you can click shadow, and that will allow you to control and view their session with their permission. You can see what apps they're running, the amount of memory and CPU they're using in real time. You can log off and disconnect that user session as well. So you can perform administration in that regard. You've got reporting that gives you metrics over time, audit logs for every change made in the admin console, detailed session history reports that allow you to see how the users actually interacted with the session. So all the log files specific to that user session, the apps they had access to, any applications they used, how long they spent in them, when server they were loaded from, and so on. Through to centralized logging for all the different servers, a number of application licensing and usage reports, and some messaging reports as well. But hopefully that gives you a fairly good idea of how OBD can be used to deliver a very flexible VDI apps and session-based solution with minimal administrative overhead and a great user experience.
All right. Thank you for that, Alex. Very exciting to actually see the platform and its capabilities. The one thing I will call out for those watching, if the videos didn't stream kind of as what you would expect, we are streaming over streams and there are multiple layers. And so we're going to put that video on a private YouTube link and we'll share that out and you can go see firsthand, the experience. So just wanted to make sure we called that out. But let me go ahead and share my screen again. And all right, so, oh, the share monster gets me again. Okay. All right. before we dive into the business case, for your MSP, if anybody has any questions that popped up, through the demo, don't hesitate to throw them into the chat. We're happy to answer them. Kevin, Alex, anything additional you want to call out based on what we saw? I know as we have conversations with our customers, the single pane, the ease of managing everything, is a really big driver. But before we kind of move on from the demo, just wanted to see if there's anything you wanted to add.
I think that the demo covered a lot of it rapid fire.
We really tried to cram it in there in 20 minutes.
There's so much more. By the way, there is a full demo on our website as well that goes into even more detail. You just have to go to the free trial page and sign up for it. So if you want to sign up and get another version of the demo, you can get it on there as well. Yeah, it was a lot, and I'm sure from the first time folks looking at it, it was plenty for the short term.
Absolutely. And Jerry, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think he did a great job. Like Kevin said, it was a whirlwind. So I feel like my hair was blown back because there's so much to see in 20 minutes. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of the ease.
At least you still have hair to blow back. That's the only thing I'd say.
Yeah, I'm losing mine. I've had my hair blown back a lot.
No, perfect. Okay. Well, I really want to shift gears then. And so we've kind of talked about Open Cloud DaaS. We've demoed the platform. Really want to shift to more of the economics, the business case for your MSP. Why is this a good play? And I think we've covered that for the most part, right? Like there are all kinds of headwinds and tailwinds, supporting moving to the moving from the platforms that are kind of the legacy mainstays, and just business models are shifting. And I don't necessarily need to read everything and rehash, everything on this slide, but I wanted to take the time and just kind of ask the group, how are you seeing MSPs win desktop as a service deals with this platform, right? How, again, AVD is the big elephant in the room, right? How does an MSP, decide AVD versus, this, and when they're positioning and when they're talking to their customers, if they're getting questions, right? Like, Kevin, kind of the floor to you, right? Like, why Inuvika over AVD?
Yeah, I mean, look, Microsoft and AVD is not the only elephant in the room either. If you've got really small, you can against Amazon Workspaces. You've got in some countries they're happy to use G Suite, so you're competing against Google Cloud, and you're competing against other MSPs. So I think from a customer point of view, from an end user point of view, for the less sophisticated customers, who are those ones, kind of 0 to 50 users, all they care about is that they get their apps and they work. and the industry is becoming more and more commoditized as you get more players in there, whether it's another MSP or Azure or whatnot. So then they're looking for price as well. As long as it works and they get their apps, they want to make sure that you can deliver it at the lowest price. So what we've done is we've built a platform that allows you to do that, US Signal, or the MSPs through here, because it's built on Linux at the back end. So we eliminate a bunch of Windows licensing. You don't need a SQL Server license because we use MySQL instead. We've included our own two-factor authentication. If you want to ditch Duo and just use ours instead, that's possible. So each of these things are going to affect your margin. I mean, the price of our monthly SPLA type model is less than half of Citrix DaaS, for example. So there's a $10 saving there. $4 or $5 on the two-factor authentication, more on everything, and that's a cost saving that US Signal can pass on to the MSPs. As a result, you're going to be in a much better position on that cost factor. And then, in order to be successful, you've got to go out and market. pick your vertical, pick your local community or whatever it is, and make sure that you're there and able to service them better than the next MSP who might be competing on Azure or on Citrix DaaS.
Yeah, great points. And from the US Signal perspective, when we were looking at bringing this product to market, right, it's everything that you just shared, Kevin. How do we make this a platform that checks all the technical boxes, right? And they all, for the most part, can do that. I think you guys have some advantages as well to that. But at the end of the day, they can all serve up a desktop, right? So then it gets into, well, how do we make this, how can we support our MSP partners and their business to drive more margin? Jerry, you are great at that conversation and helping people understand how, again, as a business decision, leveraging something like this is going to increase your margin. I mean, for all the points that Kevin just shared, there's all kinds of licensing immediately removed from the mix. So, Jerry, what are the conversations that you're having? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about AVD compared to the Inuvika OVD. The biggest thing there is margin. So if an MSP is happy making single-digit margins from AVD and Azure, go do that. But if you want to make 300% margin, this is the solution. If you want to sleep better at night, knowing that your infrastructure is always on and always protected, this is the solution, because we offer the 100% SLA, and you can speak to an engineer at US Signal in about 30 seconds or so. The big conversation, Taylor, that I'm having with MSPs is the difference between a fully managed cloud desktop versus deploying on-premise hardware. And, a lot of MSPs are starting to really comprehend that deploying on-premise hardware leaves your customer on an island all by themselves. They're just literally sitting there with one server with a white flag on it. And if something happens to that server, the motherboard goes bad, there's no N+1. I mean, it just goes down. If they lose their internet, they're down unless they have a backup internet connection. A lot of people don't, right? If they lose power, they're down. So there's three big things that can bring an on-premise environment to its knees. The fourth one's the worst, it's ransomware. But when you're bringing your customers into the open cloud environment with DaaS on top, they're getting a phenomenal user experience that's backed by enterprise-grade hardware with 100% SLA. And the MSPs that are most successful selling a DaaS solution like this, they eat what they cook. So they're walking around with Google Chromebooks and they're showing off their cloud environment. They turn their Chromebook around and say, look, this is a $300 device, and if I lose it or it gets run over by a Mac truck, it doesn't bother me, because I can pull another one out of the closet, turn it on, connect it to my Wi-Fi or my network, and my desktop is right where I left off. So, and they can travel anywhere, they can go anywhere. And business owners, when they see that, a trusted advisor like an MSP, they want it. They're like, I mean, I don't have to buy hardware. I don't have to refresh my servers. I can go to a utility bill style expense for my IT infrastructure. I mean, everything. So, that's the conversation I've been having with MSPs for the last 2 or 3 years, specifically on the DaaS solution and cloud desktops, is it just makes financial and security sense once the customers understand the benefits. The MSPs have to drive that.
I'd add something in here as well, and it's important, I think, from the US Signal side of things. It depends on the types of customer that you're going after. Security is a major factor. I mean, we just did a deal for NASA with 900 different apps. They needed a Linux and Windows mix. But the questions that you're going to get asked are, are you ISO 27001? Are you SOC 2 compliant? Are you HIPAA compliant on the medical side? And all those things, pretty hard to do on your own servers. You can get that all delivered from US Signal. Do you have the 24/7 support? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that people ask, especially when you get larger customers, especially when you're, like I said, in medical in particular. Law firms, they want to know that the security is top notch as well, because they can have their client data leaked out all over the place. So I think you get that by having a larger player look after the back end for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great addition. I've got one more slide for everybody. So if you have questions, please start to throw them into the chat. Jerry, I'm gonna come back to you for this one. And it's, launching and growing your practice, right? It's really everything that we've discussed. I think even on the last slide, you grab a Chromebook, eat what you cook, all of that. For somebody just wanting to get started, what would you say is just immediate step one?
Yeah, the first thing is to get a trial through US Signal, right? Just to understand how this works, how this feels, how you can easily deploy a new customer and their desktops along with their applications quickly from your office. You're not out there buying hardware, which we all know has quadrupled in price over the last 6 months. So you're not waiting for servers to come in to deploy on premise that are overpriced. You can instantly take a customer who's ready for an on-premise hardware refresh and compare that cost to a full move to the cloud. And we have a TCO calculator that compares those costs. We have open cloud and DaaS calculators where you can get pricing in minutes. You don't have to go to school for a week like you would at Amazon or Microsoft just to learn how to price it. So we have all those tools. We have marketing material that can be co-branded with your MSP logo on it next to US Signal. So we've really, put together a path for MSPs that want to get involved in DaaS and start promoting it. But again, the first step is spin up a proof of concept. And if you love it, you like it, then turn it into a production environment and get your own company automated.
All right, so I've just been informed. Questions that people are asking have not been coming into my questions panel. So they've been fed to me from Teams. So we're going to work our way through some of these. So first comment, or I'm sorry, first question: does it have support for 0/thin clients such as 10Zig? I'm not familiar with that, but 0 and thin client support. Alex, Kevin?
Yes, yeah. So we have full support with 10Zig. So the enterprise desktop client is built into 10Zig PeakOS and Repurpose. We are also working with 10Zig directly to have Resolute OS installable on their hardware as well. So you can use their hardware with our thin operating system in a supported fashion as well. 0 clients are not supported. It has to be a device that has a installable or Linux-based operating system. 0 clients are generally limited to PC over IP, which is Teradici only.
And Teradici is
Perfect.
being distributed right with HPE. They've announced that recently. So.
Perfect. Okay, let's see. Next question. Is there a client for mobile devices, iOS and Android? Yes. And then we just answered the thinner 0 client.
Yes, there is. Yeah, that's the same one that I used in the demo video.
Okay, perfect. And then let's see. So another question. Let's see. I can't wrap my head around the fact that a desktop costs $500 or $600. How can you sell this and the benefits that may come with it? And maybe some understanding or misunderstanding, and I apologize if I'm misreading that, on what the desktop costs. Jerry, you're probably more familiar with where the desktop market is at currently. I don't think it's quite $500 or $600 per desktop per month. That seems a little high.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for GPU. I mean, maybe for GPU, but even GPU shouldn't cost that much. But yeah, no, the traditional CPU desktop that we're talking about here today averages about $30 to $40 per seat. And that can scale even lower as your user count scales up. So that's the starting point, is $30 to $40. And then again, it can be, in the teens or even lower as you scale your DaaS practice up higher.
And just so you know, I mean, that's compared to $80 to $130 on some other platforms, right? So that's a huge savings. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, MSPs are charging for on-premise hardware managed services, $150 to $300 per seat. The average price is around $150. So imagine if your cost is $30, you throw your RMM and security stack on there. Well, maybe it's $40. Now you're charging $99 or $125 for a fully managed cloud desktop. And your customer doesn't have to buy hardware. And once an MSP gets this running, this thing just runs. It's remote desktop on steroids. But we all know how that environment runs. Once you get it dialed in, it just runs.
Monthly recurring revenue. We all love it.
Exactly. Okay. I think that's every question, unless we've got, another couple minutes or so. But while we wait for that stuff to come in, I'm going to go around the room real quick. Final thoughts. And Kevin, we'll start with our friends from Inuvika, and then we'll end with Jerry. So any final thoughts?
No, just that other than that, the world's changing quickly. A lot of things in this space I remember when we started, what I said 12 years ago, people were saying, the virtual desktop's dead, VDI is dead. It's not. I mean, it's still growing at a cumulative annual growth rate of over 20% per year. And AI is there's still apps that need to be accessed. In fact, we didn't touch on AI here at all. But AI itself is causing people to need to contain it. Otherwise, your employees are cutting and pasting your private information into AI learning models, and they're grabbing your stuff and running with it. But our product can control that. You give them access to AI tools and say you can only use these ones, and you cut them off and you don't let them off the platform, right? So that's something that we can touch on here as well in terms of going forward and security again.
Perfect. We did have a question come in, and then we're going to go to Alex. But what operating system is used for the virtual desktops, and is Server 2025 supported?
So you can use Windows 10, Windows 11, anything Windows Server 2016 through to 2025. Or from a Linux perspective, it can be Ubuntu or Red Hat based.
Perfect. All right. And then Alex, I'm going to, your final thoughts.
I think from my perspective, the best way to consider a DaaS solution is really, it's about connecting users with their applications. How you actually deliver those applications, it doesn't have to be a physical device. There is nothing to say that it can't be a $100 Raspberry Pi, for example. All users really care about is the ability to use the apps that they need to be able to work, and products like Inuvika make that easy on any device. So that's something really important to think about.
Perfect. All right. And then Jerry, with the final minute, we will give you your final thoughts.
Yeah,
Jerry's final thoughts.
You bet. I want to just expand on what Kevin said about where a lot of people think cloud desktops are dead or not going anywhere. That's completely the opposite, especially when you look at the enterprise space. Enterprise internal IT teams are looking for ways to manage less endpoints. We're talking thousands of endpoints of a hospital or some type of an enterprise. They do not like deploying MDR, RMM, backups on all these desktops and laptops out there. They're looking to standardize on a form of a desktop in the cloud so they can go to managing servers and not managing endpoints. So that's a message that I think every MSP should take to heart, that when enterprise start to shift and move, and they have been for a while, but it's rapidly going now, they need to look at that and say, how can we do that in the SMB space where we're managing servers and not all these endpoints out there? So it just makes it much easier for them and much more cost effective and more secure for their customers.
Perfect. Well, with that, I think we are right at time. So I want to thank everybody for spending the hour with us. I want a very special thank you to Kevin and Alex for joining us, and Jerry for you as well. If you have questions, if you want to see more demos, test drive, whatever it may be, reach out to Jerry, reach out to your account executive. I'm always happy to be a part of the conversations. We look forward to supporting you. So thank you, everybody, and we will plan on doing more of these. So, all right, take care.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you.